there, I am Doug, and this is a podcast about knitting and spinning and all the beautiful things that you can create with yarn and with wool. And I am coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico, and I have been super busy here in the past 2 weeks since I talked to you last, and I'm glad I get a chance to share this with you again. So let me start with the knitting I've been doing. So I have been working on the socks for my daughter. I ended up gifting her one sock for her 16th birthday. And this is a ZiaWool's yarn, a sport weight yarn that I discontinued and replaced with another base. So this was a skein that I still had sitting around and had over dyed. It was originally kind of reddish orangey, and I didn't think she'd like it, so I over dyed it in this very dark purplish blackish color. And I love how it turned out, because where the skein was tied a little bit too tightly, that's where the old color comes through and creates a subtle patterning in the sock. I'm making these with 3mm needles, Magic Loop, which is fairly new to me, and I have a stitch count of 56 stitches. Everybody has wide feet in my family, but I'm a tight knitter too, so these I think will be perfect for her. Almost done, but no rush because it's still quite warm in Albuquerque. The other thing I have been working on is my indie mashup shawl, the second. This pattern is by Annie Lupton, Boho Chic Fiber Company, and I have made one shawl already with mainly hand spuns, and I am currently working on another one in all hand spun yarns. This is it. Oh, you have no idea how soft this is. Ooh, it's gonna be so yummy. I'm using these two colorways from Redfish Dye Works, and the dark blue is a 50-50 yak silk blend, and the other color coordinating is a 50-50 silk merino blend. The third color, which is this lighter one, is one that I have dyed, and it's a 70-30 blend of blue face Leicester and silk. And it's quite high contrast, a little bit more than I usually like, but I think it works very well in the shawl. If you know this pattern, you can probably tell that I changed quite a bit, because it was the second time around, so the garter sections are not quite as I should knit them, and also up here I just knitted whatever I felt like, and I used up all of this light color, the BFL silk blend, and I am now ready to start another section in this dark blue, and then to finish with the I-cord edging. This time around, I'm thinking I should have enough yarn. I did not want to play yarn chicken again. So great, super excited about this guy coming towards the finish line. I have another shawl that I have been meaning to pick up again, and that's going to be next after this. And you may remember this because it is the Southern Shawl by Libby Johnson, Truly Myrtle design. I started this in summer and then I ran out of yarn. Totally my own fault because I added a whole stockinette and garter section that I wasn't supposed to knit. It doesn't matter. I actually like it to be a little bit larger, and so I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. Should I introduce another color or what? But since I had another skein, I ended up having another skein in stock of the bare base undyed, and so I just dyed that the other day, and I will make the shawl just slightly bigger. I'm just a little bit uncertain about the color. We will see how this is going to work out because it looks a little more yellow than this first skein. So I'll see. But even if it is, it will not bother me because it's still very much, you know, will play with the rest of the shawl. That's going to be okay. I'm looking forward to having this one done as well. So I have been really on a kick with my spinning lately, and I think the reason is really that I have been using the handspun for these two shawls, and it was really so much fun to knit with handspun. And so I was digging around in my bins and looking at the braids that I still had stashed, and I found some fiber that I had forgotten about, and it's some stuff that I had purchased last year in Taos at the Taos Fiber Festival in October, and this is how it looks like. And I have, since I found it, started spinning this. I didn't keep track, I don't know why, of what the fiber was. I'm thinking that this is an alpaca. Either it's all alpaca or a blend with alpaca. That's how it feels like. And it's a lot of naturals, plus some pale green, plus some pale blue, and a little bit of an orangey brown. I'm trying to find some to show you. Right here. It's not something that I typically go for, but I liked the way something about it attracted me, and so I bought enough to make a garment. And but I have to say well, I'll see. I mean, it's going to be a neutral that will go great with everything if I make a cardigan out of it, and I already have an idea of what I want to make, but still I'm a little bit disappointed, probably more in my choice than in this color. I must admit. It does remind me a little bit of dryer lint. We'll see how it will be. I have not knitted yet with this, and I have spun up two skeins, fat skeins. They're both still moist. This one is also moist, so it may be a little lighter in the end. And well, I'll see how it's going to be, how it's going to look like once I start knitting with it. It may be nice when you can pick up the variation in the coloring a little more when it's knitted. We'll see. So another larger project, and for this fiber I have already spun and knitted up a little sample, is this stuff. Again, this, in this case, I know for sure that this is 100% alpaca. And I even know what animal it comes from, which is kind of nice because I went to an alpaca farm on a fiber tour here in New Mexico. The farm is called the Humming Desert Alpaca Farm. It's close to Santa Fe, and I fell in love with this one animal, which turned out that its name is Zia. And so, of course, I had to bring home Zia fiber, and this is my sample from that fiber. This is the bag that I have. And I am looking forward to using this. And I have picked a pattern which, well, I don't mind knitting the same pattern twice if I like it. So I will see. I'm not sure if I'm going to start with the gray, the Zia yarn, or the lint. Let's call it the lint yarn. But I do want to make this cardigan, which is called Siri. Do look it up. It's really beautiful. You can tell from the photo. It has in the yoke, and that looks really lovely. Up here, it has a textured pattern that reminds me of large leaves. I'm sorry this doesn't come out in my print, but again, look it up. It's really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to giving this a go. It's a top-down garment that is knitted seamless, which is something that I like. So, yep, coming soon. Another want-to-knit item that I wanted to mention today is a shawl, which I had first seen partially done from handspun in Carlene's podcast, Made with Carlenergy. I think that's what it's called. But I don't think she's podcasting anymore since she moved to Tucson, Arizona, sadly. So this is what she was working on. I really think this is very cool. And the yarn I have, and every time I look at the yarn, it's calling me and I want to cast on, but I'm holding back. I don't want to have too many projects. But that's the yarn. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Freya. It's a lace yarn, and it is an 80-20 alpaca silk blend with a beautiful variation, or I should say it's a gradient yarn. Love this. And I have to say, I love all of these colorways that they have. Every time I see these in the yarn store, I want to buy another one. So pretty. So that's Future Knits Fringe with Benefits by Mindy Ross. Back to the spinning. I told you about my sweater projects, but I have also spun up a lot of just single skeins, 3 ounce, 4 ounce amounts. And the reason I have been doing those is that I always participate in a local studio tour where my house is open and I'm selling yarns, or people can, please don't think you have to buy anything. If you're local and you're not sure if you want to visit, come by, chat with me, visit a little, see the studio. I would love for you to come by. So one of the items that I'm always making for the studio tour is fingerless gloves. My business used to be more with hand knit things, but I changed that since I intensified my dyeing, but I still keep a little bit of the hand knitted stuff, and those are the fingerless mitts. That's something that I knit for sale at the studio tour, and I enjoy making those, but I enjoy them most with hand spun yarn because I've made so many pairs of them that I need to have the funnest yarns. Otherwise I wouldn't do it, I think. So I wanted to show you some of the older pairs that I have made. And it's kind of a coincidence in these that they're all over matching. However, I am a little bit anal about the thumbs, so I try to match this, because of course you finish the body of the mitten first and then you join your yarn for the thumb, and I usually try to find a spot in the yarn that matches here. So these worked out quite well, not so much on this pair, but close enough to make me happy. This is a pair that of Fiona's, and I made this pair for my son a few years ago, and this was from a drum carded bat that I custom carded for him, just darker and more manly colors, and I have added the little loops so he could attach these to his backpack. You know, boys tend to lose things a little more. And so now here are the yarns that I have spun. These 3 skeins are all a very local to me fiber. They are churro lamb, and the churro sheep are as New Mexican as it gets. It's a rather coarse fiber that is used a lot to produce a yarn that goes into rugs, because it's very coarse and makes a sturdy rug yarn. The churro lamb is softer, but so I would not use it for a cardigan or something like that. So just to give you an idea of how it looks unspun, here's a braid. And that's this color. And so these I have dyed a few years ago, I must say. Here's another one dyed by API Fiber Company. I have no clue where I found these. This braid, it was a 6-ounce braid of Polworth fiber. And this should give me easily 2 pairs of fingerless mitts. Maybe even more, maybe even 3. Nice. And there is more. Rambouillet fiber. This is from a New Mexican farm, dyed by me even before I became ZiaWools. I was still sheep on a string. I'm curious to see how this knits up. I really like the yellow and the gold, the variation in the yellow in combination with the green, a little bit of green and the purple. Can't wait to see that. And there is one more. This is from another batch of Rambouillet, which I had sent off to be processed in Michigan by Zeilinger's fiber mill, who are just so professional and nice. I have met them in Maryland at Sheep and Wool Festival many years ago. And when I have a special fiber that I need to be done perfectly, they're the people to go to. They're really amazing. So I have 2 huge bags of Rambouillet fiber that I haven't even, this is just the tip of the iceberg, where I dyed a little bit and to see how it looks spun up. And it's a fiber that has a high crimp, so it gives a very puffy yarn, almost with a a almost like it's almost elastic. Yeah, it is kind of elastic. With the crimp, you get this elasticity. It's really cool. Love it. So I have also dyed up another little, I hadn't dyed fiber for spinning in a while, but I wanted to try something new. And so I dyed that same fiber, the Rambouillet, with a different technique where it's more like a painting where you lay the fiber flat and then end up microwaving it, setting the dye in the microwave. Whereas I used to do a technique where I have the fiber in pans where it's really covered in water. So you need to be very careful with the oven technique not to felt your fiber. And I wasn't sure how it would work out with this painted technique, because you have to manipulate the fiber a little bit after you get it out of the microwave, and you just overall, this is such a fine fiber that it will felt very easily. So just a little bit, just a small batch that I dyed to try it out and see how this works. Just played with different colors that I had at hand and liked, and I feel like fiber, it's no wizardry, it's just always so nice. It plays so nicely together. It's almost like when you go in a garden, all the flowers look pretty together. You're not ever going to say, oh, this yellow doesn't look so nice with that purple. They all are pretty. So stay tuned. I will show you hopefully next time how this one looks as a spun yarn. I have done more dyeing in yet again a different technique. The Rambouillet I just laid out flat, but there's another fiber that I had braided before I dyed it, and I wanted to see how that works out. This is a 1 pound batch that I have ordered of a superwash merino nylon blend because I really want to try to spin some yarn for socks, and for durability purpose I decided to try this one. I do have some superwash merino, but I wanted to try the added nylon as well. So I have already dyed up all of this, braided and then dyed, which is probably going to have a little more whites in the braid than when I dye it with the other technique where it's not braided. But I wanted to try and see how this works, how it's going to look like when it's done. So here's one. And 2. And 3. And 4. I like all of these so much. I am curious to see which one I really will end up picking first for spinning. That was the superwash merino nylon, and I think that's all for spinning. I do have a few yarns that I wanted to show you that I have dyed in the past 2 weeks. I told you that I'm working on this large wholesale order, but I have also thrown in a few skeins that I want to put in the shop. So I dyed the Beekeeper's Daughter in a worsted weight. As well as these two. And this is the colorway Dancing Dog. And I have dyed that same colorway on my Chama base, which is the cabled sport weight yarn that I was talking about in the last episode. And so all of these will go in the shop, hopefully the latest by Tuesday. So if you like something, stop by the shop, find ZiaWools on Etsy, or go to the ZiaWools website, which guides you to Etsy. I wanted to just mention a new base that I will be adding as well. I've tried out a few new things. This one came to me by accident because I wanted to try out another sport weight base, sport weight yarn with nylon, hopefully for socks, and I ended up ordering accidentally a non-superwash yarn, but I just adore this so much. And it's mainly something that you can't tell because you can't feel it, but it has a super nice structure and I really like the feel of it. It's a merino nylon blend, and this is the colorway Cowboy Blues. And this will also go in the shop, and it is called, the base is called Jemez, Jemez. It's named after a beautiful area in New Mexico where you can find hot springs, and it's just beautiful and mountainous and great place to hike. So that's all I have for today, and I hope you had a good time. I certainly had a good time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Have fun and happy knitting. Bye.